Hello and welcome everyone to the Creative Cast. My name is Lucas Holman, and today is quite a special day because I'm joined by quite a few people. First of all, I would like to start with my co-host Morgan Banks, that is joining for the first time from New Zealand. Very excited to have you here and help me out with this. And our guests from the UK, we have Oliver Mahoney and Elliot Morton joining us to tell us everything about them. Everything you want. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey, thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
So to start off, I'd like you to let's go one by one, as this is quite new to me as well. Ollie, how about starting with you? Give us a little, background story about yourself.
Firstly, thanks for having us. Really appreciate it. It's so cool to be on here with you guys. Oh my God, look at the technology that we've got going on as well. This is crazy. We're all around the world, and here we are. Really nice to be here. I'm a languages person. I've just finishing actually now at Cardiff University doing Spanish and Portuguese and Catalan. And I don't know, just sort of I've always been keen to find a way to sort of put that into something meaningful. And I guess through trying to look for ways of doing that over the last couple of years while studying languages and translation, came across Elliot, of course, at uni, and here we are. So translation has definitely been something that has grown on my agenda. But I can say that's been a more recent thing. I never started out wanting to be a translator, but here we are, and things change. And I think, so I've been spending the last kind of year or so while we've been finishing up at uni, just thinking about the best way to apply languages through translation to make a difference. But originally, for a more personal side of the story, I was born in the UK. I actually grew up in New Zealand as well. So it's nice to hear a familiar accent from Morgan again, which is nice. Not one I hear very often anymore.
I imagine not.
No, not at all. No, especially now. And then moved over to the UK and studied, and didn't know what I wanted to do for a long time, and languages kind of gave me that direction. And now who knows what's going to happen over the next couple of years, just sort of finishing up. And I don't know, as we're going to talk about today, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that we want to sort of move into, a lot of projects we want to start. And
that sounds great. Cool. That's great. Ali, how about you?
Very exciting. Yeah, well, I'm a fourth year student, same as Oliver, at Cardiff University, studying Spanish and Portuguese and translation. I started learning Spanish when I was about 13 in school, and didn't really think of anything of it at the time, frankly. It was just like quite a fun class. I liked the teacher, she was fun, and just stuck with it for years, and just found that one year just sort of clicked, just sort of the penny dropped, and then actually didn't really have any plans as becoming a translator, anything like that while I was in school. But I knew that I didn't want to go straight to university. So I ended up working for a year, and that was horrible. I worked at a call center for parking fines for Transport for London. And
one of the bad guys. Okay.
I was one of the bad guys. Yeah, but I'm not a bad guy. I'm a nice guy. And I swear to God, I hated every minute of it. We were treated like the little minions, underneath there. I can imagine. And you know what? I'm thankful for that year, because that year lit a fire underneath my arse, and I realized that that is not something that you can do for more than a year, man. That breaks your soul. So I was like, I need to get out of here. Every day between calls, I'd be looking on Google Maps. I'd be working out, how far away is this to that? Can you drive there? I had plans to drive to Nepal and things. I was like, that's really cool. You could go through like Iran and Pakistan and things. And anyway, so I ended up driving to Romania in my old car with my first girlfriend at the time. And that was sort of the first taste of travel, and just sort of fell in love with it and realized that languages was for me the ticket to being able to work abroad and work from anywhere.
Yeah, I really felt that as well for myself. Like, just language opens so many doors nowadays.
Oh, for sure. Quite the drive too.
Really crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Morgan
Yeah,
is
man.
actually, always also doing his fair part on learning German, right?
Yes, I am. I'm attempting the 3 different dialects of German at the moment. So that's
that sounds hard. I'm not even I can do.
Yeah,
I don't even know what they are.
I've got some. I really admire anyone who can attack German in general, let alone the 3 different dialects. I don't even know what those are. Like Elliot's.
Right. So first of all, there's Hochdeutsch, which is like High German, which is fantastic. The general one everyone usually speaks. Lucas, of course, speaks it. And then there's Österreichischen Deutsch, which is Austrian German. And then, of course, Schweizerdeutsch, which is, Swiss German. People would argue there would be Bavarian, but they speak just like High German.
It's another language, right?
I've heard it's very different.
So yeah, it is their own way. But yeah, I'm attempting it. Maybe if I feel like going a little bit more Bavarian, I'll attempt it.
Oh yeah. Well, you got to build up your new German linguistic identity, man. Take on that Bavarian. That'd be cool.
For sure. Like I'm mainly doing Hochdeutsch and then going to Austria later. So the 2 Austrian and High German is the key, and then explore elsewhere.
Yeah. Okay. I love how we all connect language and learning them with traveling, and broadening our experiences. So I would like to touch shortly on you two and how you two met and actually, came up with this energy to connect in a way of doing business together at some point. So maybe you can, tell us a bit about that.
Go for it, Elliot. How did we meet? Remind me.
It's almost like I'm in a sort of like a waking dream.
It's like when a couple she asks him on the date.
I'm like, when did no, I think I distinctly remember Oliver knocking on my door in first year. And I was like, oh, it's somebody. Somebody has knocked on my door. And I was like, this is random. And he came inside and I think we just chatted for a bit. And then I think we just became mates from there.
It was
sounds quite romantic.
Better than Jehovah's Witness on the door. That's for sure.
You went out, Ollie, and you were like, I'm going to make this man my friend.
On the mission.
Yeah, I had no say in it, and I'm very happy for it. So yeah, no, we've been mates now for a few years, and I guess,
Yeah, it's been pretty much nearly 4 years exactly, I suppose, bar the summer. Because we're in exactly the same course, bar Elliot does translation and European languages, right?
Yeah, modern languages and translation, same thing.
Okay.
Really.
Right, yeah. So and mine's like Spanish, Portuguese, and then Catalan's like an additional thing that I added on later on. So we're in the same. We both. It's like yours is Spanish and Portuguese within the languages side of things, right? So because we do the same languages, like we met on the course there, which is pretty cool. And then
so as far as I know, you guys are trying to build something in the future, right? You're planning out, and there's a big I can't say that word, entrepreneurship.
There you go.
There's when my English kicks in.
Yeah.
And you're trying to connect, and there's also an idea stitched with coffee. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, I guess one of the biggest motivators behind doing the translation in the sort of business in the first place was that we wanted to travel. Which is nice, bouncing off how we started off this conversation, because I think that really is behind a lot of everything that we're doing at the moment. And even actually, it's so funny now, the amount of times we're sat here, studying at home in COVID, especially over the last couple of weeks, just finishing everything off, and Elliot will ring me or something and be like, Ollie, look, I found this middle of the nowhere town in the south of Spain. We could live there for 400 euros a month. Do you want to go?
That sounds amazing.
So,
like a whole
it's really
house for nothing, wasn't it?
it was just amazing. You know, like if we went the three of us, for an example, Elliot with his girlfriend, oh my God, it would cost like nothing. You know, it's so everything's just based on this sort of, we want to be free and out there and doing things, ideally working on our laptops or whatever it might be. And that I think has been pretty solid throughout most of our friendship. I think it's one of the key things that we've just enjoyed about spending time with each other. It's not really about sort of anything fixed in any one place. We bond on those commonalities, the things we want to do together. So that's been a huge thing.
Definitely. And that's the carrot. But there's also the stick, because we were working at the time, and Ollie was working as a barista. I was working at the lube factory, we'll call it. It's not that kind of lube, it's a different sort of lube. Anyway,
that's what he tells people.
Of course it is.
And I'm very thankful for the lube factory. If you're listening people from the lube factory, I love that job and I'll be coming back soon. But the thing was, we didn't want to work for other people. We wanted to work for ourselves, and we certainly had that as a stick, sort of really sort of pushing us away towards something that we were dreaming of.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, that idea really sounds how it's really supposed to be. At the end, it's finding in life something that suits you, and not you finding a job that you suit to the job, so your boss is happy.
Yeah, and you got to have the motivation as well, because it's it's hard work setting up your own thing. And I think one of the hardest things as well is not having a clue how to do it. Because it's like, oh my God, where do you start? Like, you hear all these people setting up businesses and you think, I don't know. I'm sure I could do that. Yeah.
That's a good
exactly.
point I really would like to talk about. And it's,
For
two are about to finish a translation degree, if I may call it like that. And you want to make a business out of it. So what struggles are you seeing already that are coming upon us? Upon you?
Well, finding work.
Small problem.
Money.
I think because translation is an interesting thing. Translation is a service. Okay, so we're not selling a product, but a service. And it's very interesting because we've never had lessons in business at university. We don't study business. So we're coming at it as basically people who can do the work, but have absolutely no idea how to do the other 80% of what's involved with starting a business. Mm. So we've had to learn that from scratch. And we're obviously, I say we've learned it, we haven't learned it because we're still learning. And I don't think it's something you ever stop learning, but it's actually really empowering to go from having the skill to being able to make money, but also then being able to implement the other skills and realizing what skills you need to start a business. These days, anybody can start a business. And a lot of people do, but there's some skills like marketing, just huge. People underestimate the power of these things. They think that if you're a good translator, you're going to get jobs, but that's not the case. There's plenty of good translators out there that don't have work because they just don't know how to get clients.
Yeah, it sounds quite difficult.
It's I think it's good as well though that we've started from the perspective we started with, because whilst that 80%, like you say, is the big part of giving that boost, getting the company going, the marketing, a lot of those important things. If you haven't got that quality and love and passion for what it is you're actually providing the service, especially when it's a service, because you're working with your customers on a consistent basis. And so they interact with you. And so they pick up that kind of the vibe that you're giving about it. If you haven't got that love for it, that 80% that you learn in the marketing and business side just goes straight down the drain.
Mm-hmm.
So sure. I think we've started from a good space. And I think it's including the motivation for us. I don't know if you probably agree, Elliot, because it's like, with the languages being something that we love so much, it gives us that motivation to go, okay, I'm going to get online, I'm going to learn how to market, I'm going to learn how to, I don't know, set up an Instagram account, and whether that is even going to help us, or like get involved in some community stuff and sort of get to know people in the field and actually, basically stand up to the challenge that is trying to set this thing up, because we've got that basis of really enjoyment and stuff what it is that we're actually going to be providing people. And I mean, that's the thing. It's like, you want to give something that people are going to love. You want to provide like a service that people are going to really be happy with, but like you got to be really happy with it yourself first.
Yeah, you got to be able to do the work first of all, haven't you? Because if you can't do it, you will not get repeat clients, and people are going to see right through your bull. I don't know if you can swear on this.
Yeah,
they're going to see through it. People do.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, you can feel that. So, may I ask how you guys are prepping up for that? Are you, maybe reading books or, having some classes, especially for that?
Well, it's amazing how much you can learn online. I think that's the coolest thing about all of this is so we've been doing some courses online and stuff. I spent a lot of last year sort of learning about your basic marketing stuff and things like that online first, and then doing what you kind of learn the basics there, and then you do what they say. It's a bit like when you pass your driving test, right? You learn. They say you learn to drive and then you pass. But what actually happens is you learn to be safe enough to then start learning once you have passed. And it's a bit like that. I think
first step, right?
Definitely, absolutely, yeah.
Sure.
So I think that was the impetus for some of that stuff, and but yeah, it's been.
Yeah, I've been doing some workshops from university. They've been doing workshops from the enterprise team. So I had a freelancing workshop yesterday. Funnily enough, I turned up to it and I just made some food. I'd got some bacon and egg on toast, and I was ready to just sit down, listen to this nice presentation. And I got there, camera off and things. I was just sort of wanted to listen, and there was only one other person.
No.
What?
And so I joined, and immediately the woman was like, "Oh, we've got somebody new." Hello.
And you were like, "Oh shit!"
Exactly. Have you got your camera on? And I was like, "Oh no!" And so I sat next to my food for an hour.
Elliot's mouth watering the whole time.
Yeah. Just looking down, looking up, looking down. Stomach grumbling.
Painful but worth it.
Yeah.
But not gonna lie, that is actually quite a sign that favors you.
Yeah, I think commitment, right?
Yeah, commitment and
sacrifice.
You don't have that much competition.
That's true.
Wow,
yeah,
yes.
That's true.
Right.
Good
and
point.
You're one of the few people that actually is doing the extra step that is necessary to build something on your own. Most people just want to work somewhere and don't
Very true.
create their own work.
Yeah, very true. It's becoming a thing that more and more people are looking into, but even still, the vast majority of people will prefer the security of. Well, I say security. After COVID, we would have seen that security is a bit of an illusion. But obviously, it's a bit more secure. Let's be honest, than freelancing, especially when starting. Starting is the hardest part, I think.
It was this,
yeah,
definitely.
it's understandable.
Elliot, once you add it, all of you two. Now that we kind of got down to, where you guys came from, how you guys know each other, what you guys are doing, how you guys are prepping up, what's coming up. How about hearing the ideas you want to execute in the next couple of years?
Yeah, go on, Ollie.
Well,
Good old.
He's got the plan. He's got the plan. Ask him.
So here's a bus. You just threw him right under it.
There's ideas. There's ideas definitely out there. I think we are sort of a buzzing hive of ideas at the moment, and we're sort of taking a lot of them, trying to analyze them and think about what will actually work. And we're not afraid to just take an idea and sort of analyze it for a little bit and see if it's absolute nonsense.
Exactly.
Or if
look, we've got nothing to lose, boys, and everyone listening, we've got nothing to lose. And I think that is the thing, because it's at this point as well, we've come to the end of our degrees where we're looking at the world, and you look at the world right now and you think, I may as well just do whatever makes me happy, right? Whatever I can think of. So I think that at the moment, we're coming up with all these ideas, and we'll go into a few of them. But it's like, with all the stuff we're doing at the moment, we're sort of stood at the sidelines, sort of sweating, thinking, okay, when can we go?
Like bench warmers.
That's it, exactly. It's like, but it's going to be good. I mean, we're really keen to tie into a lot of things. So like Tierra Translation, which is sort of the name of our business, is all based around. So, I mean, Elliot, you might want to take us into like the whole idea of specializing in translation and stuff like that. But like our specialization is the environment, is ecology. And I mean, there's an awful lot of good reasons for that, I think, both now and in the future. It's a great market from a business side of things because it's a growing market. It's a bit like investing in Dogecoin a year ago. Hopefully you come out with an awful lot more money. Nice. And but also it's an area of passion for us. Elliot mentioned so my side of that passion is, as Elliot mentioned, I was a barista before, and you might think, okay, like you're making coffees in a coffee shop in the first world and you're passionate about the environment. Okay, sure. But like I was a barista in a specialty coffee shop, and we sort of import and roast coffees from all around the world. But a lot of these coffees come from farms that are run by sort of single families, or they're sort of freeholder farms. They're not part of big cooperative farm groups that sort of provide for some commodity coffees like that go to Costa or Starbucks or other sort of larger roasteries. And so these are actual people, and it's been really nice working in that industry and realizing the depth to that side of things. And you think, God, it's like from the people that are sat here in the coffee shop, drinking their coffees, talking about things, sharing nice times and all that sort of stuff. You've got this chain of people, human beings that are trying to make their way in the world. And on every single side of that chain, if you can adopt a more sustainable way of supporting those people, you can make a massive difference. And the sustainability is really important, because if you're for example, take you through the chain of things. You got the people that grow the coffee, and these people are they're doing all sorts of crazy experimental stuff. Some of them they're trying out new ways of processing this coffee, trying out new ways of making the beans and stuff that they extract from the cherries on the trees taste better and match better with different roasters that are on the other side of the world. And then on the other side of the world, you've got people that are shipping this coffee over and trying out different types of roasting techniques, different ways of making that roasting process more sustainable and more affordable, and therefore more just better in general to ship more coffee over so they can get higher volumes and give more money to these people on the other side of the world supporting their families. And so there's all this depth to that I was like, oh my God, like, I came to Cardiff to learn at university, and like most of the crap I've been learning over the last 2-3 years has been from my side job. So I think that was one of the most interesting things for me. I think in that is a little microcosm there of sort of realizing that actually every industry is so deep that you've got all this stuff that you just don't even see. And so many sides of it can be made more efficient, better for the people, individuals involved, and the countries and the nations and the businesses and stuff, if you think about it in a more sustainable way. So it's one of our ideas kind of comes out of that. I mean, but that's sort of my background for why we're interested in the sustainability side of things, and then also why we're looking at some of the projects we're looking at. Don't know, Elliot, you might want to.
Yeah, well, I think the sustainability side and the environment is sort of what typifies the area that we're living in at the moment. It's not war really for the first world, not that we're living in. It's basically this ever looming cloud that's above us of slowly getting darker and darker, and I think it worries a lot of people. So not only, mate. I think it's everybody feels somewhat powerless, and it feels like there's nothing you can do. So anyway, the environment idea with translation came about because we wanted to make a difference, and it just sort of ties in quite well. But there's a benefit to this from a business side of it, because as I said, as it's what typifies this area that we're living in, it's also something that people actually care about, and having that integrated into a business is a great idea to get more people on board, especially when you're offering a service which is relationship based. It means that you can partner with other people that have that as a main goal, and you can concentrate your efforts together to hopefully do something better, like what we've been doing with IPE, this Brazilian organization which works in the Amazon for the conservation of nature, and it's one of the largest organizations, I believe, in Brazil, if not the largest.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, we somehow managed to get a foot in the door with those guys, and we've done some translation for them. And
oh, nice,
big work already.
a bit of work already, definitely. And Oliver's planning to do before COVID, it was going to be the Lisbon Eco Marathon of, was it this year, Ollie, or the last year?
Yeah, literally last week.
Wow. Very close.
Yeah, the Lisbon Eco Marathon. That's right. Yeah, it's literally that we've been able to sort of create some, like you say, it's a bit because there are so many businesses and institutes, IPE included, that have got this as their main goal. And so you're right. It's like we've been able to partner up with them, and yeah. So next year, stay tuned, everyone. Next year, I'm going to be running the marathon. It's still happening.
No, great.
Because they would have just postponed it, right? So it would just be.
That's
like
right. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, they've postponed. So next May, I think it's going to be that. They haven't confirmed a time yet, but I've still got my ticket, so it's all good, and they'll let me know.
Still got your name on it.
That's right.
Ollie's taking the bullet on this one. I'm just going to take some photos while he's running
like
24 miles. Go, man, go! You can do it. Like the gym.
Got a water bottle on the side. Yeah. That's it. It's been good though. It's been really good. I think it's quite cool that as well, because it shows that building these relationships that we've been talking about, it doesn't just have to be in that typical sort of business way. You know, one of the biggest things that we've learned while trying to get this sort of springboard knowledge about marketing and stuff like that is that actually, you know, you can just have your fun. You can just do whatever it is you want to do, whatever you like doing, even in the marketing side of things. It's like, we do what we like doing from the product, what we're actually offering side of things, and that's the languages, and we're practicing translation all the time, consistently asking each other, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? Could it be better? Could it be, you know, how could we develop this? And it's the same thing with the marketing. You know, you take those general skills and you think, okay, well, how can I make this fun? And then
and you can make it more personal as well, so it's great.
Exactly. Yeah, and somehow you get into running a marathon somehow, but there you go. It's another story.
So you're running a business while you're running the marathon at the same time.
That's it. Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so you guys are big about, cool, also not only caring about your business and making profit, making the process all around better, but also looking, at the other side, the production side of it, and all the farmers, and maybe, the ground produce the coffee, having a look, especially at, South America. So that is always, a really great approach, as that normally opens some doors to you that other companies, don't get to see, I reckon. That's one. That's Tierra. What was the name of the company?
Tierra Translation, yeah.
Tierra Translation. Yeah. All right, there you go. So the translation part comes in when it comes to probably all the paperwork of all those steps and transactions, I reckon, right?
Yeah, it's basically what the business. So it obviously, as it's still a translation business, that's going to be a lot of the actual legwork of the business is translating, which as a skill in and of itself is really quite abstract. And I've heard translating described in one way. People think that if you can speak two languages, that you can translate, and to a degree you can, but it's also the same as if you've got two hands, you can play the piano, but it doesn't mean you'll be any good at it. It's so it's much the same as that. You kind of have to learn it a bit. It's much more of an art than it is a science, and it's very new.
It's a bit more context, isn't it? So like it could be, as you said, and like you've got two hands, you've also got two eyes. So when it comes to like reading it, getting someone else to look at the work as well to actually get the context behind it really changes how it is, because it's like you might think it's one way, but it actually could be a different way. It all depends on how you approach the client, wouldn't it? Because they might actually have been thinking of something slightly different, but if you're using different words, it could be a different overall outcome.
Yeah, definitely. It's at the end of the day, what's written down is interpreted by the reader, and it can be interpreted various different ways, and nobody can actually say because of that, the author can say what they actually meant to say. So having a direct client is in a way quite an advantage, because if there are areas of ambiguity, you can ask them, basically, especially if it's something very important. If you're talking about, we don't obviously deal with this, but if you're talking about medical texts and legal texts, if there's any ambiguity there, you might be getting somebody put in prison by accident, or they might be getting like 10 times the dose of some drug or something. You never know.
God, that could end very badly in many different ways.
Definitely.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, but what I can extract from that is there's all responsibility that goes with it, obviously.
Yeah.
But I mean, totally, like anyone, myself, I've experienced that so many times. I've grown up with 2 different languages, and I can do them both perfectly fine. But when it comes to translating one into the other, I get very, very confused. It's not easy at all. And it's quite demanding mentally,
certainly,
at least. Like
certainly.
After 10 minutes of translating, your head is like, oh my god.
It's like with all the interpreters in the EU, they get like 25 minutes on and then like a half-hour break after every 25 minutes.
Exactly, because the live
poor brains.
That's crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's next level. I tip my hat off to those guys.
Yeah, how would you get around kind of doing that stuff? Because your brain is very wired, and I imagine there's a lot of jargon as well that you guys would have to know.
Yeah.
It's pure experience. It's honestly, it's pure practice. The more you do it, the more you come across the same phrases, the more that you remember how that you worded that the previous time. And so it becomes quicker and quicker. And but that's not something that we do. Interpreting is a different field to translating in a way, because interpreting, you're mostly just trying to get the meaning across as best you can. In translating is where you have to try and reflect the style, the grammar in cases. Obviously there's different circumstances for all of these, but interpreting is not easy. If there's a test you can do, not for interpreting, but it's a little fun test. If you try and listen to yourself and speak back and so say if you're speaking into a microphone and then you hear what you've just said back, but it's delayed by about 0.3 seconds, 0.5 seconds, something like that. Most people cannot keep talking, but that's what an interpreter has to do at the same time as translating in their mind. It's honestly, it's mind blowing.
Yeah,
really impressive stuff.
Just thinking about that,
Okay,
no, it's totally true. I was literally just going to add to that. I mean, it's all about sort of, you learn the patterns, you learn from the experience, you build up kind of a little library in your head that sort of automatically translates certain things into a certain way. But then you still got this sort of little mechanism of just checking things all the time as well. You kind of take advantage of both at the same time. So it's like, you build up this practice, which is why people specialize as well, because it's then within that field, you've got specific ways of saying things, specific vocabulary, specific terminology and jargon and stuff like that. And you kind of get to know those things, but you're always consistently watching. But the great thing about texts is that, I can do one and send it to Elliot, and we can work on it over and over and draft it and reread it and recheck it and stuff. And with, I guess, the overall goal is to be invisible, which is really, really the plan. I mean, it's very difficult for that to be the case, and depends on where you stand on sort of the theory side of things. But yeah, I guess that's the goal. We want to kind of sink into the background and let the original authors have this, as much sort of their original sort of openness to interpretation and message and whatever it might be, transferred into the target language as well. So
yeah, because I could imagine that if you do translate it in the way you do it, you're technically taking some words out of their mouth in a way, wouldn't it? So trying to being a little bit further back means that the reader is essentially just reading how they interpret it rather than how you interpret it.
That's right, yeah, because it's a bit like imagine you've got one of the, you look at like literary translation. Elliot will be able to tell you a bit more about this because it's definitely an interest of his. But it's like you when you read all this literature, you think, God, there's so many interpretations, so many ways you could take this, and sort of meaning between the lines. And that's the beauty of literature, right? There's the beauty of these sort of narratives that we read. It's just they transmit messages that aren't as direct, and often both sort of macro. So like, on the grand story side of things, like what does the whole story tell you, but also, micro in every single sentence. And so that openness to interpretation, the multiple ways that the reader can take that, needs to stay there as much as possible. And there's so many ways that you as a translator can read that and try and, or not really try, but sort of inadvertently write your own interpretation of the original text into the new version and change the story. So that's the thing. You've really got to critically think about how you're transferring one meaning to try and make it exactly the same meaning in the next text as well.
Yeah.
So
that sounds fascinating. Sounds very difficult.
Yeah, everyone has tried really translating. Not common sentences are that much straightforward, but when it comes to colloquial ways of speaking or just common phrases there that are not really meant to be translated, they're just meant to be understood, and that's it.
Yeah, swearing is an interesting
stuff like that.
Yes, swear words are very interesting. Yeah, because that's not something you can translate literally. I've been watching this show on Netflix called Marginal. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's an Argentinian series, 3 seasons.
I haven't, but it sounds good, man.
It's pretty good. I've been watching it, learning lots of new slang words, Argentinian.
Do you know what? The amount of Argentinian slang Elliot sent me over the last couple of weeks. This is why I had no idea.
Yeah, there's lots of words. It's but they just throw in like concha de tu madre here and there everywhere, and everywhere. They don't think anything of it. Whether it's hard to know how serious this swear word is because of the amount of times it's used, but
right.
No, yeah. It's quite hard to translate because as well, you have to remember that swear words are generally like regional specific.
Yeah.
So the swears that we use in the UK are not the same they use in America, or in different parts of America, they're going to say different things. So that already will localize your translation to somebody. So if you're translating for a British market, you'd probably be using British swear words for the most part. If you're trying to make like an international standard one, you'd try and reduce the amount of domestication. So foreignization and domestication are these two ideas in translation. Foreignization is that you take a foreign text, the one that you're translating, and you leave a lot of the foreignness in speech marks in it. So perhaps that's cultural references. Perhaps that's you leave in sort of literal meanings where the reader has to sort of work out what they're saying. And domestication would be when you really domesticate it for a market. You anglicize it. If it's for a British market, you So anyway,
and that's interesting. I mean, swear words. Sorry, going back to swear words. They can have an intention that can be all over the place. Some of them are meant to hurt you. Some of them are meant to actually bring you joy. So it's really no general rule that drives them all. It's really one at a time, and every one of them is a world of possibilities. So
definitely,
I mean, everyone who wants to learn a new language always like, okay, tell me some swear words, please.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry,
but if you go to Australia, it's all at the same time. It can be insulting and friendly. you just don't know.
Okay, guys.
I love it.
So we're hitting 40 minutes, Matt. We have a quick break of 5 minutes. I'll see you right back.
Perfect.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll have a quick break. When we come back, we'll be talking about the possibilities and you have when you study translation. The market that is open right now for it. And yeah, that's how we go on. Okay, see you guys in a bit.
Cool.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cheers.
All right, we're back. This is on the site right now. The weather was perfect, all right? Just sunny weather, all good. I was like, okay, maybe go to the beach later. And now it's pouring down like the end of the world. Like, what the fuck?
I think I can hear it.
raining cats and dogs right now.
Bro, it's like snowing outside.
Dude, I can't see the trees out of my window. That's how hard it's raining.
Neither can I. It's dark.
No. Well, for you, not for me. It's fucking midday. All right. Just in case, so you guys know that you can swear all you want. This is actually a swear open podcast. So.
Okie dokie.
Good. Can we smoke weed as well?
Sure. Of course.
Like Joe Rogan.
I've actually drunken beer already on an episode. I don't remember which one.
Very German of you.
Like on the morning is like, what this?
It must be like midday now. It can't be morning anymore.
No, it's for me. Literally, it's 20 to 1 p.m.
Yeah,
it's 20 to 12.
It's the afternoon, right?
So we're back.
There you go. You're winning.
And this was a great short break for us to recover. And now Morgan's taking on, baby.
Right. Well, the question that I'm actually wanting to ask is, so why would you be on your laptops, and where would you be going first once COVID is kind of like over and like kind of on its way? Where would you set up the beginning?
Mate, the beach is the place. I feel like beaches across the world share something, don't they? And it can almost be in any country. We've got Cleethorpes up north. Neither of you guys, nor Ollie, will have ever been to Cleethorpes. My fellow Northerners will know what I'm talking about. It's not the best beach. Apart from there, Spain, Greece, Croatia, something like that, man.
Sounds amazing.
I've got a van. I bought a van last year. It's up at my parents.
Just gonna leave right now.
Nice.
Yeah. It's 19. I can't remember. I think it's like a 1989 Talbot Express auto sleeper is what it's called, and it's like a 4-berth. Google. It looks old.
Yeah.
If you guys want some British culture, you should watch Max and Paddy, and
Amazing.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Is it kind of similar to like the Scooby-Doo mystery machine? Is that how cool it is?
It's taller, and it's like actually made for camping in it. So I don't have. It's got a shower.
Like that would be cooler.
Yeah, it's a bit more practical. Less flowers.
Yeah,
but we can paint those on. So
I was going to say
that's why you put it on the list, right? Van life.
Oh yeah, van life. Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one. That's it, man. Because this is it. It's like you're saying, Elliot. The beach is the place. We've been considering all sorts of places over the last year, just sort of fluttering ideas around and sort of like, where are we going to go? And I think we were just like, why would we not go to the beach, man? Like, yeah, it's the only place to be. And I think that
and relax at the same time.
Oh yeah, exactly. We're made for it, man. We're made for the beach. I think we crawled out of the oceans. I don't know how many billions of years ago, and we didn't go that
just
far.
Last week, right?
Yeah, literally. I mean, yeah. So we're keen for that, but the van. I mean, that's gold plan, I think, right there.
Yeah, literally. Honestly, before I came to university and started studying translation, I was living in Spain. I'd done a year working as a conversation assistant in a school in Tierra, near Barcelona, about an hour away from Barcelona, near Montserrat, sort of near. People who live there will be like, it's not close, but you can literally see it from there.
Just down the road.
Literally. And I had been inspired by this guy on YouTube. He made a series called Asta Alaska. And I don't know if you've seen it.
I've seen that guy.
Yeah.
I've watched that video. Oh, well, yeah, many videos, but that guy's awesome.
Yeah. I started watching that when I was, I don't know, maybe 16, something like that. The guy's been traveling a long time.
Wow.
And
very long time.
Yeah. And I realized that the thought process was this. I wanted to do the van life came first before translation. The translation was the key to being able to earn money. Because I realized, after this trip to Romania that I did, that you can't travel indefinitely without a source of income. And I was like, well, what can you do while traveling, earn decent money, include it with languages? And the translation made sense. So and then I Googled it. I was like, can you translate from a beach in Spain? And this guy who blog, and he was, to become a translator, you need to be qualified, certified to some degree, right? So university made sense at that point in time, and here we are.
Oh, fantastic!
Sort of worked backwards. Yeah.
So you would say that the translation is literally the key for van life.
Yes, literally. Yeah, the ignition.
Yeah, amazing. Oh, cool. So have you got any idea, like, exactly which beach in the top 5 beaches?
Well, I'm not sure, mate, honestly. Like, I really wanted to go to Portugal. You guys probably, I heard about this. Portugal have recently outlawed, they've banned people staying in camper vans by the side of the road or next to beaches or anywhere that's not a campsite. So you can't van life pretty much in Portugal if they catch you.
So that's a no.
Portugal's now, this is a massive shame, man. Massive shame. After learning Portuguese, I will still go to Portugal, you know.
Oh, well, of course.
In time, but probably not to live.
It'll be temporary van life.
Temporary, yeah. But
and it's only if they catch you.
So it's only
rule number 1.
There's only so many police, but they kind of scare me, not gonna lie. Like they don't take
Portuguese prison. Why are you in here? I was caught van.
You need to be crazy, bro.
They'll be like, oh shit.
I'm not messing with this guy.
Yeah.
It's just like
I'm out of here, man. I'm out of here.
Yeah, ain't nobody got time for that. This guy's a crazy man.
Yeah, hardened criminal. Yeah. He's not had a shower in days.
Yeah, no, but it's true in Spain, and I think in Portugal as well. Most, like 90% of beaches, you can't chill there, you can't sleep, you can't camp, you can't do shit.
Yeah, it kind of sucks.
I wonder why. Is it because of just because they're cutting that down here in New Zealand as well? There's like unless you've got a 100% enclosed kind of like camper van with a toilet, rubbish bin, all of that.
Right. Which is like, that's just gutting, isn't it? Because it's like New Zealand's always been right at the edge of you can do anything you fucking want here, man. And now it's like, God, they're doing it over there as well.
You can still do it, but you have to have like a 100% approved, like all encompassing van now. You have to get like a legal approved one rather than you've just got a van and you're just going to the bush and taking a shit, you know. That's
this is even worse. Like, why is this guy in prison? Like, he didn't get his van approved, man. Like, don't fuck with him.
He didn't even bother with van life. He just hopped in a van.
Oh man,
I love it. It's so ridiculous. But no, that's really sad about Portugal, most of Spain, I guess.
Yeah, fortunately, with Europe, Western Europe being a little bit more, a bit richer, let's be honest, than the rest of Europe. Obviously, a lot of economies in Europe are growing and still continuing to do. But when I did this drive, I drove from obviously from up north in the UK, from Barnsley, drove down to London, into North France, and just sort of followed the border of northern France and into southern Germany, Bavaria, through the Black Forest, absolutely gorgeous. And
stunning, yeah.
And then into Austria. Obviously, all of these countries, quite well-off countries with great economies. Austria was gorgeous, by the way. Oh my God, what a lovely country. Expensive though, so we didn't spend too long. And I then crossed the border into Hungary, and it's like you are thrown back about 40 years in time. It's absolutely insane. Madness. Instead of sewers, there are ditches by the side of the road. There's stray dogs. There's people selling watermelons by the side of the road, and that's their job. And it's awesome in its raw nature and just how different it is. You realize that the UK and a lot of Western Europe is so modern and so, you know, so civil. There's no, it's almost like it's lost a bit of its excitement, you know?
You're just like, what? I want a watermelon, but do I trust a watermelon?
Am I going to get robbed for it? Yeah,
exactly.
I think that a lot of these laws around like camping in your van and stuff on the side of the road is actually just going to push us to the even more interesting, less sort of, superficial sides of the world. We might find ourselves in these places just because by necessity, because we're not going to get put in prison. Well, at least not for camping in a van. And, we'll end up in some pretty cool places, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, Angola speaks Portuguese.
Yes, they do. We've been toying with the idea of Africa, haven't we?
Yeah, we thought about it. I did try and look how much it would cost to move to Angola, see how much it is to rent an apartment there. And I found one advert, and there wasn't really a price on it. It was just a photo of this man,
amazing,
up in his house advert, and he was saying, "Come live with me and my family." And then it had like two terrible photos.
Sounds like such a trap.
That's very sus.
It very sus, super sus.
Yeah.
But
is it like one of those like Mongolian princes or whatever? Like if you give me your bank account details, I will deposit 1 million credits in you. It's like, okay, bro.
Literally.
It was like the house wasn't the real thing you're buying into. That's the company at that point. It's got to.
That's spooky. But Africa would be amazing though. But like, it all depends on like whereabouts, because I've heard the stories about like how you have to go in an armored vehicle from one complex to another because it's so dangerous that you can't really leave certain parts. So,
yeah, I think it seems there's some really dangerous parts of it. I've heard South Africa is struggling really quite a bit with some of the crime in its areas. I also watched a documentary recently about, I can't remember the name of the guy. He set a new world record for the time it took him to cycle from the top of Africa to the southern tip of Africa. And
wow,
I can't remember how many days. I have to look it up.
Man, I would have like punctured my tires instantly just riding it. Fuck another rock.
Yeah, I know, right?
He survived that. That's step one.
Yeah. The fact that he survived, the fact that like Africa is absolutely huge, man. It's apparently way bigger than it looks on the map. Due to
no. It sounds really silly, but like
it's only 10 centimeters on the map.
Yeah, if you go on to like real sized maps on Google, it actually shows what countries really look like, and it's ludicrous because most of Europe actually fits in New Zealand, but on a map, New Zealand's like this big.
Yeah.
What? Like New Zealand's huge, but our population is tiny. We've only got 5 million, and it's nuts. It's huge. So the fact that Africa is tiny, but it's actually big, doesn't really surprise me.
I wonder, it's like, who are the people that make these maps, guys? Like, all those Europeans back in the day showed up at Africa and thought, holy shit, this is a big old place. We better draw this smaller, make ourselves look a bit more enticingly, bit more scary.
Look at Europe and you look at the UK. The UK is massive. It's like, oh wow, imperialism, right? Who said that? But I'm
looking at this map now. It's called thetruesize.com. The United States, India, and China fit into Africa.
It's
the true size. It's on my
you're not even looking at a map.
Oh my god.
But no, that's terrifying, right? Africa. Like, how long did he take this cycle?
Gonna have to look it up.
It just boggles my mind. I don't even know how many countries actually fit into it because, Africa's the continent, right? So, like, they've got different parts of it. So, it must have been quite a cycle.
Yeah, I think you would say so. So, it looks like this guy called Mark Beaumont cycled it. He did it in exactly 41 days, 10 hours, and 22 minutes.
Wow, that's good. That is good.
And he didn't get eaten by any animals on the way or didn't get malaria. And
he 100% wrote a book about it and told all the shit he went through for sure.
Yeah, he man, he cycled on average 257 kilometers per day.
Ooh.
and spent 439 hours in the saddle. So yeah.
Wow.
Just imagine the bruising and the chafing.
Take our hats off to that guy's taint. That's one mangled grundle that man's got between his legs now.
how does he sit down? You know, you'd think it would be like, it'd just be like it would be the seat. Like, I don't think he even has a set. He just inserts it into the bike.
His third leg is now a saddle. Yeah.
Exactly. It's just as part of the bike, you know, the part of the
Never
ship,
needs
part
a
of the
bench
crew,
anymore.
right?
Just sits down where he wants.
No. Gosh.
I feel
That's
like we
impressive.
got off topic
That's
a bit.
terrifying.
Yeah.
A little bit. You know, to segue from that connection to this connection, what would the connection between translation and actually launching the network between these, you know, talking with people and actually how you'd work as a company? So how would you would approach that?
Well, I don't know, man. I mean, it's. I think the key for us. So, like, if you're talking about like possibilities and stuff in the market of translation and like,
that's the one.
You know, what we're hoping to do, how we're hoping to sort of set this up. I mean, it's really based on ourselves sort of attaching everything we want to do to an idea rather than to a business or anything like that. So like the idea really is, you know, sustainability and van life in terms of our own lifestyles and in terms of what we want to achieve with the work we're doing. You know, we're less attached to specific, you know, like designs and business plans exactly and stuff like that. And I think that really empowers us because we're not, you know, if Elliot sent me a message and said, you know, mate, not gonna lie, I think this is shit. Like, we need to do something else. Then we can do it. You know, we can do more ideal based on what our goals are and sort of thing like that. So all of that flexibility is perfect for us. It works ideally. Like, you know, we can be wherever we want to be. And, you know, like you say, and like why working on the laptops, it just gives us that opportunity to go out there and actually meet new people, learn a whole lot more and develop the idea that we're attached to rather than just the business. And so we'll develop like ourselves, how we understand what it means to be sustainable and environmentally friendly and what that actually means in different markets and places, and develop that and sort of change everything we do to really suit that idea. And I think as long as, I mean, that's the thing, if you're attached to an idea, you're unstoppable in a way, because you know, you can move all of the things around. Nothing's fixed, you know. You can move everything around your life, your designs, your plans for the business to get that one idea solved. And I think that's the real goal for us. So that's I think why we want to move.
That's how this started, right? It's just at some point in life, whether you want it or not, life will show you something you would enjoy. It's like, oh, this will be quite nice if you do this. In the end, it's just up to you if you have the balls to go for it or not, right? Or it's
eventually
often balls, but sometimes you really can't because, you know, external factors matter. But at the end, really, you can manipulate your surroundings, your behavior, everything you do in order to favor that.
Yeah, balls and brains. Balls and brains. You need, I think.
Two separate things, though. You need to separate them.
Yeah. No, but Ollie, you told me about that. The network to this is something, you know, I wanted to talk about. It's, you know, that connect is sort of like a social network where you connect the producer of that coffee, for example, with the end user, with the retail shop.
Yeah.
Cutting the middleman. I would love to hear about that a bit.
Well, so we've been developing the idea a little bit more. We've kind of looked into ways that this can be sort of more viable. So we're playing with a few ideas. And I think the key idea behind it is that we would basically just make things a little bit more sustainable for, you know, people that are growing the coffee, and then also the whole process of bringing it over to, you know, roasters wherever they might be. And there's a lot of interesting ways you can do that. I mean, there's some places that some coffee farms that are independent coffee farms that are starting to look at roast their own coffee, so it cuts out like a whole other middleman, a whole other process, and makes it the entire thing a little bit more sustainable. It also brings so much more money in for these farmers and lets them tell their story a little bit. It's like you go to you go to your standard coffee shop here and or specialty roastery, and usually you get like the little. I've got some bags here actually, and you get like the information and stuff, saying like where it's from, the process that's been followed, and all that sort of thing. But there's no name of the farmers or anything like that.
That's really sad. Yeah.
And often, like,
for the listeners, you just showed us a label, full of intel.
Yeah. So the label's kind of got your tasting notes, the process. So that's like how the coffee's processed prior to being shipped over, and like the origin and the elevation and the variety. And if you look into the story a little bit, like these guys are a local roastery crankhouse, and they kind of on their website they talk a little bit about the farmers that they work with and who these people are. But you really got to dig for it. And within sort of the coffee scene in general, these farmers aren't hugely well known, and a lot of them could really do with being sort of have their stories told. Yeah. So I think that's kind of the big motivation behind this, and whether it be that we sort of build a little bit of a network between farmers and roasters that puts everybody on sort of an equal footing, or whether it be that we sort of more directly provide the service of translation as a way of bringing those people and their stories to the surface in Europe and in these sort of richer countries where a lot of that roasting is happening. I'm not sure, but it's an idea we're toying with, and I think there's an awful lot of good stuff that can be achieved there, and economy changing stuff as well. Because I mean, some of these people and the whole nation that they're in, and even bigger than that, the group of nations and the whole trade itself is worth billions and billions of US dollars. And so there's an awful lot of change that can happen. I think if we bring these people to the surface, tell their story a little bit more, I think it'll definitely have a good impact. So that's kind of the idea. I think we want to tell people's stories a little bit more.
Yeah, I like that. It's also kind of like, it'd be making like the wine estates, but it'd be like the coffee version, right? Because everyone knows the name of, like the orchards and the vineyards and stuff. Like, right. Why don't the coffee growers like have that as well? So it just seems it's a very, very smart idea, because
absolutely
credit for where it's due, because they're the ones that are making all of this.
Exactly. It's interesting that you bring up the wine estates thing as well, because they do like all of this processing and so. So if you take the roasting and you put it on the farm as well, then the end product that gets shipped in bags or like is from them. And it's like these wine estates, they ship their end product in bottles, and it's like straight from the estate, and it's all made there. But then you often find the roasteries sort of take a lot of the credit over here, and so I feel like it'd be nice to, if not take the credit away from them, but sort of definitely bring to light the whole picture, the whole story. And I think in doing that, I was talking a little bit about attaching ourselves to an idea, that idea of sustainability and stuff. In doing that and bringing the story up, people become a little bit more aware of where their coffee comes from and how it's been shipped across the world. And they start to think to themselves, oh, okay, there's a lot more behind this coffee that I'm drinking every morning. Like there's a lot of carbon footprint behind this, and there's a really big process. And so that idea also, that idea of becoming more sustainable, we also achieve that in a way, because in telling their story, we bring to light a bit more about the truth of the situation. And so I think there's a lot of power in that potentially.
Oh, certainly. It'd be fantastic to know exactly like, oh, this is like Farmer Bill from said country, and it's from this local little Amazon like village. I'd be like, that's amazing, rather than just another Costa coffee that came from somewhere in the middle of nowhere.
That's like, right. Yeah.
A lot of people would really get behind that.
Yeah, definitely. You think, gosh, wake up in the morning and it's like, Jorge from a farm down in Brazil, and I owe him my morning, really,
Exactly. Like you wake up and you high five him, and like, thanks, bro. Like without you, I'd have nothing right now. And then you can do your work without him, like he's the guy that gets you started. So it'd be nice to actually send it to the people that actually produce this, rather than the rich kind of people above that are just taking money from nothing.
Yeah. No, but what I really, not only that, but what I see behind such type of social networks that connects them is that you on one side, you're giving other producers, if you can call, are they called producers or farmers? How they're called when it comes to cafe?
Oh yeah, like producers, yeah.
Producers, all right. You're giving them protagonism they never really getting. And on the other side, you give the customer that buys from them a possibility that they're 99% of people don't have, and it's buying directly from the producer. You normally can't do that easily. You normally always have to go through the companies that import them and bought them from them.
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
give that more freedom to choose, make that decision.
Totally, man. Yeah. That's it. Yeah,
it'd be like going to like the farmers markets and getting the local produce rather than going down to the multi-millionaire like supermarket, right? It'd be going directly to the people that make it, which would be nice.
Yeah, so and certainly having those people that make it in mind when you're buying it and thinking it's, because the great thing as well is that a lot of these roasteries and stuff are, it's like, especially in COVID and stuff, it's really important to support sort of local businesses and stuff, and that in itself has a huge help with sustainability and that sort of thing. And a lot of these roasteries are they're local businesses as well, so they understand just what it means to try and stand out among this sort of hugely competitive industry, and they're just businessmen and women just like us, right? And so they want to do exactly the same thing. So I feel like this would go really well with that industry, because it just means sort of sharing that, and they can work with their own love and passion for what they're doing. They can and they want to sort of just promote that sort of local small scale business. They can definitely pair that really nicely with promoting small scale business on the other side of the world. And I think it'll make a huge difference. People, like you say, people will be able to, they'll have that choice. They'll be able to look at it and it's going to be amazing for people, because it's like, you can buy this coffee and not only does it come from this local roaster, but like, you can choose which local farm on the other side of the world you want to support. Some of these farms have like processes that are brand new and crazy and innovative in their own way, and they're scientists and businessmen and women in their own right, and they're doing all this amazing work. And so it kind of creates this transparency in the industry that I think could lead to some cool stuff.
Definitely. I just realized you two see and understand something that's very key to what you are planning to do, and it's that you get that people want to care. They want to care. The thing is, we often are not given the chance, but also we are really, especially in Europe, we are numbed down to. We're not used to saying, okay, I can reach out to the producer. We are kind of driven from the big companies to the supermarket. Look, this is your only option, and what's in the shelf is everything you got. Pick one, right? But you get that the people want that extra step, because they know that. Well, I think it's common knowledge that producers, when it comes to coffee, when it comes to chocolate, all these, they normally don't make that much, but what they produce.
Yeah, correct.
Normally,
yeah,
the
definitely.
biggest cut is the last guy that sells it in the supermarket. That's the guy that makes the biggest cut.
It's one of the problems they've had in South America, because there's other crops, not legal crops, that they can grow and they'll make more money from. And you can see this online. Yeah. And obviously it's a problem if you're trying to work legally by growing a legal crop like coffee, for example, and you're not earning enough to support your family, there's something wrong there, right?
Exactly.
Definitely something wrong there.
Yeah.
But you're playing against the big boys, so it's not going to be an easy task for you two. But I mean, you two are some. I gotta say, some ballsy guys, and I know Ollie personally, and
maybe they might
if someone can pull it off, it is him. Right?
Yeah, either we'll do it or we'll end up in body bags. It's one of the two.
So yeah, if we are in body bags, you know who did it. It's the coffee producers who were taken down.
It's just like, and then we'll both be in a prison, and I'll be like, what did you get into? Bad life. It just leads to that every time.
That's easy.
Yeah, all these paths somehow lead to prison.
Yeah, well, if I back into New Zealand, I'll be leading into van life at some point myself. So,
all right, guys. We are on the last 10 minutes of the episode, and one important matter I wanted to touch on is for you two, as you are some, I would say, rather experienced now translators, as you're finishing up. You got some experience to look back on, especially on your degree there. I'd love you to share some tips, some advice for young lads that are maybe on the start of their career, they're 18 or something, and they love languages and they want to do something with that. Elliot, maybe you want to start.
Yeah. Translation is a fantastic field of work to get into if you find yourself loving languages and wanting to use that as a profession. You can't, unfortunately, right? So this is the translation market. It's growing, and it has been growing. There's a lot of money in this, and there's a lot of demand for translation as well. But that, like I was saying earlier, and I'm not just trying to sort of gatekeep translation to everybody, but you will not know what you're doing unless you study translation to some degree. And I think you really need to put in this framework at the start, whether that's you're self-taught or whether you go to university. Frankly, you can teach yourself how to do it. And there are lots of translators online. You have to remember that translators not only translate, they proofread, they teach, they do lots of other stuff. If you can find a mentor, somebody who's a translator, if you can translate a text, for example, and send that to a translator and perhaps get some feedback from then somebody that's established, that would be a brilliant way to get into it, supported by your own self-learning. And then to sort of proof that you're a good translator, getting a qualification provided by there's different organizations all over the world that can offer the qualifications in translation. You just have to Google whatever country you're in, there'll be something. And some countries require you, for example, if you want to get into legal translation, in Spain, for example, you have to be certified to be able to do it. In the UK, I don't believe that is the case. We don't have sort of a body like that. But so that's my tip is practice and learn about it at the same time and try and get feedback. And that is the best way to do it. You don't really need to go to university, but
it helps.
It helps. It does help. It does help.
It for sure helps.
Yeah.
Okay, but I like that one, and that you don't need that. That's something I didn't know. That's good.
Yeah.
It's good to know that you can make it happen yourself. You can reach out. And
you can certainly.
Network like that. Ollie.
The one last thing I'll say: don't undervalue your skills as well in translation. The thing is, a lot of translators, like me and Ollie, as I said, we'd not been taught in business. And a lot of translators undervalue the work that they do, and it's sort of sinking this business from underneath, undermining it a little bit, because people will work for cheap, but the quality of the translation they're going to be doing is dubious at best, and obviously then you've got the guys at the top. So do your homework.
Okay, great.
Yes, I definitely know that personally. Being from creative graphic design. It's the same issue, you've got the top guys and then you're like, you have to work cheap because it's like, oh yeah, but you're just starting out. So you've got that kind of creative kind of, backdraft of it.
Definitely.
Ollie, give us your input.
I think I would, Elliot, you touched on a lot of the stuff there that is, I think, really key. The biggest thing I would say is practice for sure. Practice and on your own or with your friends, or find somebody else within the industry that that you can work with, almost as like a peer-to-peer sort of thing. And you'll find networks of people. There's a bunch of networks online about finding work in translations, but also networks of translators that discuss ideas and have conferences and that sort of thing. And go to those conferences, discuss the ideas. Often they're free or very little money, and especially if you're starting out on your own and you've just taught yourself. Get out there, push your brand as an individual, as a translator, as a freelancer, get in touch with agencies and really believe in yourself. It kind of goes back to what Elliot was saying about, don't undervalue your work. Get that practice in and really learn the value of what you can produce. And then as soon as you do that and you sort of compare with other people and you be humble as well about it, always welcome other people's feedback. I mean, sometimes I'll send something to Elliot and he'll be like, look, mate, we need to have a chat. This, I think there's better ways of doing this. And that's perfect. welcome that kind of input from people, because that's the thing, you know, that what you're doing is you're working with material that other people are going to read. And so your biggest, the most valuable thing you can get is other people that can give you their comments on what you're writing. You know, you're a writer at the end of the day, and it's what you're writing isn't just for you, it's for everybody out there. And the whole idea of your job is to make it more accessible to more and more people. And so find people, connect with people, get involved in that you know, big arena of people that, yes, it's competitive, but it's also a welcoming area. And there are a lot of people on all scales of experience and professionalism that will happily welcome you to learn from them, and also learn from you when you get engaged. So that's what I'd say.
Okay, great. No, I love that. Yeah, you two were quite on the same page there. for sure. I want you to share with our listeners to you know, where they can find you, where they can be up to date. Feel free to share your social. Maybe you have a website or whatever what comes in your mind right now, where you can, you know, keep on track with what you're doing.
Yeah. So our website is tierratranslation.co.uk. TIERRA translation. We'll also be having .com soon, and the website will just it'll have all of our stuff on there. We're going to be blogging, we're going to be talking about stuff. We'll also be hopefully launching our own little podcast as well soon, so we'll be able to talk about translation in a little bit more depth, some of the ideas we've talked about today, projects, as well as just having a laugh and, you know, just whatever.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
So yeah, we'll be on there, and our Instagram as well is Tierra Translation, just all one word. And you'll find us on there.
Yeah, people will find it. I'll, you know, obviously link everything up on posts, so you can, you know, just click on it and have a go.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, so we're reaching the end. I really appreciated all of you being here today. You know, Ollie, Elliot, it was really nice talking to you too. Having you sharing, you know, a bit of your past and where you come from, your where you are right now. You know, finishing up that degree, planning already what's coming up to you, which is, to say the least, quite ambitious. But I love that. This podcast is all about that energy, you know, to be brave, and it really in the end is getting out of your comfort zone and doing what you really love and pushing hard for it. So I really appreciate that. That definitely, I truly believe that encourages so many people out there that are not sure, or that maybe haven't even thought about it, and we plant that seed in their mind, which maybe gets them out of where they didn't want to be. Yeah, so that is really great. Tierra Translation sounds awesome. That's going to be a thing. I hope so. I wish you to all the best of luck. Morgan,
definitely gonna check it out for sure. Thank you guys for turning up. And yeah, I was happily listening to what Lucas was saying. It was fantastic. So we'll definitely catch up with your podcast as well. Even we might be guests on that. That would be lovely.
Yeah.
Please do. Yeah.
Jesus, if you start something, this is going to be quite the mashup there.
Oh,
check it out. Wicked. No, thank you very much for having us, guys.
Yeah, same. Awesome. Been a pleasure.
I hope you guys have a lovely day.
Yeah.
Dope. So a little shout out to everyone who's listening. If you or someone you know would love to be part of the show, if you want to get your message out there, your story, your projects, your ambitions, I would love to hear from you. Reach out to me. I'm always looking for new people. Thanks to all of you guys for being here today. I'm Lucas, and this was a Creative Cast.